17 things. Some of them I'm doing, some of them I've done in the past. These are some mistakes I've made, and I just put them together to make a video for you. And I want to just share what could be making your space feel small if you feel the same way that I do. And I'm going to tell you how to fix them. This first mistake, I did it for years and I hated it. And I knew I hated it and I didn't really do anything about it, but I would come down the stairs and I would see a pile of shoes at the bottom of the stairs because that was where our entryway is, and I would have instant depression and I would just get annoyed the whole time. I have a very simple fix for you. Two things. If you have kids, just get yourself, I'm going to put it up, a wire bin. This wire bin is fantastic. You can just leave it at the front door. Your kids can toss their shoes in there. My kids make a game out of it, like it's like a basketball hoop. I'm telling you, this is the only thing that they will use. Otherwise, I have to keep on reminding them. And the reason I say for kids' shoes is because kids' shoes, they don't really need to stay clean. They don't last very long, especially if your kids are like mine and they're running around and getting them dirty and wearing them in. Our sneakers get holes in them. So you can just stick them in this basket. It's fine. If you don't have kids and it's just adults in your home, get a shoe rack or a little cabinet, anything that you can have at that front door to tidy up the space. I'm telling you, once you get that space tidy and clean, you're going to walk in the door. You're going to feel like your entryway is spacious. You're not going to walk down the stairs and feel upset. Another mistake is when you have tons of plastic storage. I've seen people with cabinets and cabinets of these plastic storage containers, the Tupperware containers. They sell these in packs of 50 plus. You don't need all of that. In fact, if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm trying to get rid of those plastic containers. I have gotten rid of them. I've made the switch to glass. I recommend get rid of your plastic containers. You definitely don't want to store food in there. You definitely don't want to heat your food in there. It could make your food toxic. So just get yourself some glass. I can link some good ones that I use. They won't break. They're a little heavier. So if you're worried about the weight, you could also get stainless steel ones. Those are also really good. This third thing that's going to be making your home look cramped, and I've made this mistake and it's really bad, but it's putting furniture in front of doorways or even putting furniture in hallways. This just instantly makes the space appear smaller, and especially if you do it in front of a doorway. I did this for years in my living room. We had two chairs and they didn't quite fit in the corner that I wanted them to be in. So one of them was kind of overlapping with the entryway or the doorway into the living room, and I just dealt with it. It didn't look the best, but one day I removed that chair, I put it in the back of the house, and it totally opened the room up. Looks 100 times better, feels 100 times less crowded in my living room. And another offender, speaking of furniture, is if you have super bulky furniture. You know the furniture I'm talking about. I love bulky furniture for its comfort, but it doesn't make the room feel spacious. It actually does the opposite and makes the room feel crowded. Now, I'm not telling you to run out and replace your sofa, but if you're in the market for a new sofa and you're looking, I think get something a little more streamlined, comfortable, yes, but not so bulky that it's going to just appear to make the space feel crowded. Even if you have a huge room, for some reason that bulky furniture just takes away from it. And another thing that could be making your space look cramped is if you have furniture directly on the ground. And what I mean by that is if you have furniture that doesn't have legs underneath it. This is so weird. This is just my opinion and what I've kind of thought over the years. But when I see a sofa and it's just flat on the ground, for some reason, it makes the space feel more crowded. I feel that the legs give the sofa some, it just tricks your eye a little bit and makes the room feel more spacious. We have a ottoman that's flat on the floor, and then our sofa has legs, and I just think the ottoman isn't really doing us any favors. Don't get me wrong, I love the ottoman. However, I wish it had legs. As an added bonus, if your furniture has on legs, your robot vacuum or your normal vacuum can fit right under there. Okay, so I am thrilled to share that for this video, I am teaming up again with G4 Free. I did a video with them a few months ago, and so many of you loved the cozy pants that I shared. I've been living them this winter. Well, now spring is coming. They have a new spring sale. I'm going to share some pieces that I got in case you're in the market and you're looking for anything for springtime. So I'll have everything linked below by the number that you see on the screen in case you want to check anything out. So I ended up ordering a couple of G4 Free's workout tops. I actually haven't bought workout tops in many, many years. So I did get one. I got a tank top and then I got a long sleeve. These are great because they're super light and airy and it gets really hot in the summer where I am. But another reason why I ordered them and why I like them is because I get really burned at the beach and at the pool on my chest and my back. So I like to wear those shirts that have SPF in them. So these shirts are UPF 50, which is fantastic. I don't have to worry about putting sunblock on. I can just wear these over my bathing suit and then I won't get burned. I also got another pair of lounge pants. The ones that I had before are all fleece lined for the winter, and then these are nice flowy pants for the summer. And the reason why I actually got turned on to G4 Free in the first place is because you can choose the length of pants. So they have 3 different inseam lengths, and really helpful because a lot of times I find that lounge pants are always too short for me. And then I also ordered 2 pairs of shorts. I plan on living in these this summer. And again, these shorts are super comfy. You can see they've got that super stretchy waistband. They all have pockets. And then I will say my favorite pair of shorts is this brown pair here. I really like the front pleat down the leg. I kind of think it makes the shorts look more interesting, and I also think it looks more flattering. I got everything in a size small. I would say they're pretty true to size, but if you want them a little more like a little looser or a little comfier, you could always size up. So from March 25th to March 31st, they've got that sale going on. You can get up to 40% off, which is a huge deal. So thanks again to G4 Free for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check my links down below. And now back to things making our house look crowded. So still talking about furniture, let's talk about angled furniture. And I'm specifically thinking of angled furniture in a corner. I think more often than not, and I know why people angle their furniture, but I think what happens is it cuts the room off. It just cuts off that chunk of the room. I see a lot of people putting chairs angled. I've seen sofas angled as well, but I also see TVs angled. I would try and avoid doing this. If you can, just have your stuff more so pulled away from the wall and not angled. I know it's not always easy in every space, but as much as possible, not angling your stuff is really gonna open up your room. So many of you who watch my videos are not subscribed. If you enjoy content like this, click the button down below, it's free. Another thing, this will absolutely make your space look crowded and cramped, and I used to make this mistake a lot. It's if you have your pictures hung too high on your wall. You don't have to go crazy with calculations and measurements. I say just do it at your own eye level, but when you've got them too high, it just messes with your eye. It makes the space feel crowded. And I will also take this a step farther and say, if you've got a ton of small pictures on a wall, that could also cause some crowding. If you have a huge wall, go for a big piece. That is gonna make your space feel more spacious. And I will put a little plug in. 90% of the things that I have on my wall, it was either got from the thrift store, garage sales, or Facebook Marketplace. Okay, this next tip probably should have been number 1 because I think this helped me the most and it made my house feel the more spacious for sure. My tip here is, and what could be making your space look crowded, and it's a mistake, is leaving a ton of things on your counter that you don't use often. Now, I get it. If you've got your KitchenAid mixer and some nice things that you want to display, that's totally fine. But really be mindful of the things that you want to put on your counter. I used to have every kitchen appliance and gadget that I owned on my counter. Then I had the mail and paper clutter. Then I decided when we were coming in from work, we should just leave our purses and our bags in the kitchen. And then the kids' toys were in the kitchen. Don't ask me what I was thinking. My kitchen used to feel so suffocating. I ended up removing all of that stuff. And now all I have on my kitchen counter are the things that I use daily. If I don't use it every day, it is not on the counter and I put it away. And I'm going to give you another tip. If you have things in your kitchen cabinets and you don't use them often, put them in another place. Put them under your bed if you don't have a basement. I store my stuff in my basement, but you don't need to take up that valuable real estate in your kitchen. I recently started making yogurt and I had my Instant Pot down in the basement. So I moved it upstairs and it was sitting on my counter. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to move the waffle iron, which I only use maybe 5 times a year. I'll move that to the basement and then I'll store the Instant Pot in the cabinet. So just be a little creative with what you're storing in your kitchen and don't think just because it's a kitchen appliance that it needs to live in the kitchen. I hesitate to bring up this next one because every time I talk about area rugs, I get so many comments about it and people telling me that area rugs are necessary. And I don't mean the big area rugs. I love those. I'm talking about the little small throw rugs that you see everywhere. My advice, I think they could be making your space look crowded. And the reason is, Again, it's a lot of small things, and they often come in different colors and patterns, and they're all over the house, and it just looks like a lot. Maybe it looks like visual clutter to me. I'm not really sure. But I will stand behind the fact that I think that these are tripping hazards as well. So get rid of them if you can. The only place that I currently have them is in my bathroom, and we're happy with that. The next one is if you're decorating every empty space. I find decorating to be like music. When you are listening to a song, there is always silence, and that adds to the beauty of the song. And I think the same can be applied in our homes. When you have this negative space, this empty space, that adds to the beauty of your decor. So just let your surfaces breathe, let them have some space. This is also going to be easier to clean, trust me on that one. A lot of people have hanging lighting in their homes, and I'm just going to say, if you have your lights hung too low, then it's going to make your space look crowded, because what it's going to do is it's going to make your ceiling feel even lower. So a good rule of thumb is to make sure that there is at least 7 feet between the bottom of the light fixture and your floor. And honestly, if you have rooms in your home that have low ceilings, it might not be the best room to have that hanging light. So just get some lamps, and that will actually make your space appear larger. This next one might not be possible for you to do, but if you can do it, I really recommend it. But I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they put things in front of their windows, or they somehow block natural light. You want to make your space feel bigger? Natural light is the number one top way to do it. Let that light in. The place will feel bigger, I guarantee you. I actually have to do this in my daughter's room. She has a very tiny room, and we had gotten her a queen-sized bed, but there's nowhere to put it that doesn't block the window. So her bed is right underneath the window, and it's blocking the window a little bit. It's not ideal, but it's the only scenario that works in there. If you can arrange your room in a way that doesn't block that light, it's going to make all the difference in making that room appear so much larger. And then speaking of windows, I want to talk a little bit about curtains. Because I will say a lot of people make this mistake as well, and it's having curtains that are the wrong length. If you can, my preference is to have curtains that are almost to the floor. I'm not talking about the trendy ones that are puddling on the floor. I mean, none of us are living in castles, right? I like the ones that elongate your window and go almost to the floor. A lot of you commented, though, that you have baseboard heating. We don't want to have a fire, so that's fine. Don't get curtains that are going to get in front of your baseboards. But at the very least, you need your curtains to touch the bottom of the windowsill. I see so many people with curtains a few inches above the windowsill, and again, it's just going to make your space feel crowded. It's not going to make your window feel as large as it can, so just try to get it to the windowsill, and ideally closer to the floor if you can. Okay, we're getting there. This next one, though, that's going to make your space feel crowded, and you're going to notice a theme to all of these, but it's if you have too many tile patterns in one room. So obviously, you don't want just one tile pattern. That kind of makes the room feel a little bit flat, right? But I say 2 or 3 is a great amount. Sometimes people get excited about tile and they go a little crazy, and then they have 4 patterns in a room, which I think it's too much. I think it could cause the room to look cluttered and actually smaller, which is the opposite of what you want to go for in a bathroom. So this next one I don't see as much, and these used to be really popular, but I do see some of them, and I kind of wish I had one, but it's if you have too many display cabinets in your house. I think 1 in a room, max 2 if your room is large, that's perfect. But if you start having 3, 4 cabinets, I think it gets overwhelming. I think that it's nice to display your stuff and you want to see it, but sometimes if you're displaying too much stuff, it just again ends up crowding the space. This next one is a bit controversial, and it was a bit of a polarized one that I shared before, but I'm going to say it again because in addition to this thing being clutter, I also think that it could make your space feel crowded. Just think about it, your coffee table. I'm not saying to get rid of your coffee table, but I am going to say, if your living room or your seating area is small, do you really need that coffee table? I don't think you do. I personally think that unless you have this huge room then you can get by with end tables. And even in my living room, we got rid of our coffee table because it was just a clutter magnet. People were piling stuff on it. I spent my nights just removing the stuff off from it. Why bother? I ended up putting an ottoman there, and then it doubles as storage, and nobody puts their stuff on top of it because it's a soft fabric and you can't really put anything on it. Just something to consider. I do think that if you have a smaller space, consider getting rid of that coffee table. It could really open up your room. So finally, for this last one, and I think this is the theme of the video because I realize a lot of the ones that I'm talking about kind of fall into this category of clutter. I'm just gonna say that something making your home feel cramped and crowded is too much stuff, too much clutter. And you need to personally decide what clutter is to you. Obviously, clutter is very personal, something that you find to be clutter. I may like it or vice versa. And so you just want to figure out, do you have too much stuff and what can you do to get rid of it? Luckily, I have a lot of videos on this topic, so I'm going to link a decluttering playlist. So if you struggle with clutter or if you just want to have a little bit of a refresher, because who couldn't use some motivation, then go ahead and click on the video and I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.